Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and we're asking, is it worth playing the new Cities Skylines game? Well, let's take a look. Now, for those of you who don't know, real quick, let me describe what this game is all about. It's a city simulation game where you get an empty plot of land, you have money, and you get to build a city. You get to build the roads and where the houses go and the businesses go. You need to put down police stations and fire stations, and you need to run and build and take care of this city that you make. And there's so many options. You can build a huge metropolis or a nice little farm town or maybe a rich coastal area, and it's up to you to build whatever kind of city you want and take care of it. And most notably is SimCity. This game has been around forever, but the recent iteration of it, a lot of people didn't like. There were some things they did that didn't work out. Enter Cities Skylines, new game that came out that gives you a lot of great options and takes care of some of the problems the recent SimCity had. Before we get to all the great things about Cities Skylines, let's look at a couple of problems. One, people generally say the game doesn't look as good as SimCity and not great looking for a 2015 game. Now, it's made by a smaller company. They probably didn't have a ton of resources to put into the game, and on top of that, there are so many parts in the game, people and cars and buildings. If they made it look any better, your computer basically couldn't handle it. So it's kind of a give or take. I wish it looked better. Doesn't really bug me, but some people, that kind of bugs them a little bit. On top of that, and this is the biggest downside I think to the game, is it feels kind of shallow. I've played the game for about 30 hours, but I've made multiple different cities, up to like 100,000 people, because you get to a point where your city just takes care of itself. You got policemen and firefighters and everybody's happy and you're just making a bunch of money. And you just let it go, and there's not really anything else you need to do. You can go watch a TV show, when you come back, you got a couple $1 million, and you just make a whole new city, and it doesn't really take any challenge. The older games, like SimCity, back 10, 15 years ago, there was earthquakes and tornadoes and even aliens that would come in and blow up your city. And so you had to create your city in a way where it could withstand these natural disasters, where you had extra power lines, where your nuclear power plant might explode, and you got to make sure, you got to take care of all this stuff that you had to do and continue playing the game. And unfortunately, Cities Skylines feels like you can take your hands off and kind of ignore it for a while, and even if you want to play the game, there's not a lot of depth things you can keep doing. There's a little bit of progression where when you first start out, you only have a few roads, and then as you get more and more people, you get more roads, and you unlock some new buildings. But in general, it's just kind of the same old, same old. You have a small firehouse, you get a big firehouse. You have a small elementary school, you get a big university. And so, yeah, they're technically different, but honestly, it kind of got boring, unfortunately. The good news is, and this leads us into some of the positive things for Cities Skylines, is that you can use the Steam Workshop. And what this is in-game, you can create different maps. You can maybe make a huge mountain map or a bunch of coastal regions. There's all these maps that the creators of the game didn't make, but you can make and upload, and then other people can download. On top of that, there's new buildings and things that people can make that you can download and play as well. So even if you get the game and you're bored after a couple of weeks, if you wait a little bit, you can go back and play the game, and there might be a ton of new stuff you can download for free and start playing. Now, how in-depth is this stuff going to be? Well, I don't know. Older games like SimCity, you could play for hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours on the same city, because there was so much progression and so much you could do on one city. Is this new downloadable content going to give you that sort of stuff? Or is it just going to be other buildings that are more or less the same? Only time will tell. Another great thing about Cities Skylines, though, is that the size of your city can be huge, especially compared to the new SimCity game. That was one of the big complaints, is that in the new SimCity, you have these little tiny cities, and you had to play online. There's no offline mode. And Cities Skylines doesn't have either of those problems. You can play completely offline. You don't need to be on the internet at all. And on top of that, the cities can be huge. You start with a pretty big map, even bigger than the SimCity map, but on top of that, you can buy other plots of land and build into this massive, huge city. There's already unlocks, which we talked about just a moment ago in the download options. Somebody already created it where you can unlock all the land. You can have all the spaces, and you can literally have a city so big it could melt your computer. The developers have said that yes, while it's possible, they don't support it because it could literally melt your computer because there's so much stuff going on in the game. So be careful if you do that. But that gives you an idea of how huge this game can be. Now, on top of that, I've had no problems with the game. Not any problems with the bugs. The UI works perfectly fine, and there's all these little things you can do in this game that you couldn't do in like SimCity or other building games. You can zone different areas of your city. So if you want the waterfront to be this nice kind of small town little feel, you can zone it so they can't build big tall buildings there. So you get a lot of options to customize. Maybe you want your industrial zone where they have to put fire alarms in the industrial zone, but the rest of the city doesn't. There's all these little type of ways that you can customize your type of city that you want, and since you can make it so huge, you can have this city over here by the water be one way and this city be something totally different. So there's a lot of options like that. So is Cities Skylines worth it? Well, let's put all this together. One, you can have huge cities. You can even unlock such a huge map your computer can't even handle it. So that's not a problem. Also, you don't have to connect online, which was another huge complaint of the most recent SimCity game. On top of that, it's pretty easy to get into, the UI is easy to understand, and there's no bugs or any really game-breaking problems that I have seen so far. Now, the downside is that the game feels a little bit shallow and you kind of run out of stuff to do pretty quick unless you just want to keep doing the same thing over and over. But the fact that they have the Steam Workshop means that there's always new stuff that you can download and try. So even months and months and even years later, you can log back into the game and it can feel like new game that you're playing. So overall, I think this game is definitely worth it. I think it's worth your $30, and I have no reservations about spending my money to play the game. So if you like SimCity, you like Cities XXL, I think this is definitely checking out because it's probably the best of the bunch that's available right now. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Tell me if you've played it, if you haven't played it. I'm going to tell you one thing though. Be careful where you put your hydroelectric dams. Alright, let's just put down this happy little dam here and get some power from my people so they're not angry at me. Boom, there we go. Happy little dam. And looking good. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where's all this water? Oh, crap. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Don't you... Don't... Everybody's gonna drown! Everybody's drowning! Stay out of the water! Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get rid of this thing. There we go. No! Getting rid of the dam and there's a giant tidal wave? Come on. That... Oh my god, look how huge that thing is! Everybody's gonna die. Everybody's dead. My city's dead.